In 2001, Microsoft launched the original Xbox with a launch title developed by Bungie called Halo Combat Evolved. It was the first game in a long-running FPS series that is still ongoing to this very day and was well received for its engaging gameplay, fantastic gunplay, and memorable characters. Also, that Halo theme, oh! Though the game would see a remaster in 2011 with the Anniversary Edition, which notably upgraded the visuals of the original and featured the option of toggling between both versions on a whim. And since this was the version that was featured in the MCC collection, this is the one I'll be covering for this video. Hey, my name is Jude, and if you've never World of War before, then I'm here to tell you what is Halo Combat Evolved. So let's get that story out of the way, shall we? The game takes place in the 26th century, where we follow the UNSC as they are forced to crash land on a mysterious ring to avoid capture from their enemies, the Alien Covenant. Our captain, named Keyes, releases the ultimate weapon, a super soldier named Master Chief John 117, and assigns him the artificial intelligence Cortana to accompany him to drive off the invading Covenant forces. And the rest of the game has the Master Chief fighting the Covenant while also finding out what other kinds of secrets and horrors await on the ring, which we later find out is called Halo. Heh, get it? So the story of Combat Evolved is pretty simple and straightforward, with a handful of twists and turns to keep you guessing as to what the ring's all about, and, for the most part, the game has the occasional goofy dialogue to keep things lighthearted. Though there isn't much in the way of character growth for the cast, the lore is quite fascinating to read up on, like who built the ring, why the UNSC are ready for the Covenant, you get the idea. And while the game's plot is self-contained, there's plenty of room for future entries to build off of what was established here. So if you're looking for an easy to understand plot that has room to expand its world and characters in future entries, look no further. Especially if you're looking for an entry to start off in the Halo franchise. Combat Evolved is an FPS, nada, where you'll be playing as the Master Chief throughout the game, who will need to blast his way through all sorts of aliens to win the day. You can jump like you're on the moon, crouch around, for no other reason at all, a melee button, a flashlight for darker areas, and a set amount of health that will be lost once your shields are depleted. So you'll either need to wait till your shields recharge or find health packs in the levels to fully restore your HP, which you can tell via the loud, constant beeping noise to duck for cover. But if you do perish, and you will, the game is forgiving enough to offer multiple checkpoints throughout the levels. Since the game is in first person, you're gonna get shot by off-screen enemies a lot, and the game will indicate where you're being shot from via the directional buttons on said screen. And you have a high selection of weapons to choose from in your arsenal. The Master Chief can only carry 2 weapons at a time, which you can freely swap between at a moment's notice. There's only 8 weapons in the game, but what this game lacks in weapon variety, it makes up for in damage. The weapons of Combat Evolved are super busted, and just about every weapon in the game is ready to use in most battles. You'll start things out with the UNSC handgun, and let me tell you, this thing is the best weapon in the whole game. It can hold up to 120 rounds, has a scope for better accuracy, and it dishes out some of the highest damage in the whole game. And since it only takes around 2 to 5 shots to kill an enemy, this weapon can wipe the floor with elites no problem. In fact, this handgun is so OP that future games nerf this thing to the ground. Then there's the UNSC Assault Rifle, which is your standard firearm for the game. It can hold up to 600 rounds and dish out some decent shots at close range. Though it's not very accurate and lacks in firepower, it more than makes up for in later levels with its wide spread. Next, we have the Plasma Pistol, which is always handy to keep around. While it may look weak at first glance, this weapon has 2 modes, a semi-auto shot, and its most powerful mode, the charge shot. If you hit an elite or a jackal with a charge hit, the blast will destroy the shield and allow you to easily gun them down. Though this will deplete the battery faster, it's best to swap to another weapon once the gun overheats to finish off a target. The Plasma Rifle is the standard weapon wielded by elites. Though it can fire fully auto, this weapon will overheat if you spam the trigger for too long. The Covenant also have the Needler, which is their only weapon that needs to be reloaded. This gun is not very good. It fires slow homing shots that will explode a target if enough needles have landed, which will almost always one-shot a foe, you know, when it hits them. That being said, it also has one of the coolest melees in the whole game. I don't care how slow this thing is, nothing is more cooler than stabbing enemies with your own ammo. Then we have the Shotgun, which is found when the Flood arrives later in the game. Shotguns in this one can carry up to 60 rounds and will practically one-shot anything too close for comfort. Though it isn't good at mid-range, the sounds it makes are extremely satisfying to pop off. Anyways, insert Ryu's meme of "I've got a shotgun here."
I've got a shotgun.
And the last two weapons are the sniper rifle and the rocket launcher. This gun is your typical sniper rifle. It's best for headshots and holds up to 40 rounds. Also, the melee attack hits him with the back of the gun, and that is cool. But the rocket launcher, however, is my personal favorite weapon in the whole game. While it may only carry up to 8 rounds, this weapon will annihilate any and everything foolish enough to get close. And that includes you. And it's best used against the various hunters and tanks throughout the game. And the splash radius is so far that nothing's getting away unscathed. Good lord. Okay, so remember how I said there's only 8 weapons? Well, guess what? I lied. Because I guess grenades do count as weapons in this one? Yeah, sure, game. There are 2 grenade types in this game, the frag grenades and the sticky grenades. Frag grenades will bounce around before going off shortly after. Not only that, but they will do a high amount of damage to boot, and cover a wide range when detonated, making them essential for crowd control, but keep in mind that other grenades on the ground will go off if they're too close to it. But the best grenade by far has to be the sticky grenade. They have slightly higher damage, and once stuck to a target, they're donezo. Doesn't matter how much you beg and plead Chief to take a bath, anyone unfortunate enough to get stuck with this thing is a goner.
Gary, there's a bomb!
Next up, we have the power-ups and vehicles. Halo 1 features only 2 power-ups in the game. The first one comes in the form of overshields, which will add an extra life bar to your character that cannot regenerate. And the game usually drops these in areas where you'll need some extra defense too, so be on the lookout. Then there's the active camo, which turns you completely invisible. This is great for sneaking up on enemies and getting a free kill in from behind. And your active camo will wear off after 30 seconds, so use it effectively. Now onto the vehicles, of which there are 4 in the game. And you can have NPCs right alongside you as well as use their health bars too. The first and best vehicle in the game is by far the infamous Warhog. This all-terrainer can drive just about anywhere you want, even off cliffs. Wait a minute. And features a mounted turret on the back to boot. Though the Warhog is nearly indestructible, it's easy to tip this thing over during battles. Plus, it can be difficult to maneuver with since this thing drives like you're on an icy road, which makes it easy to run to walls and cliffs too. But if cars aren't good enough, there's always the Scorpion tank, found only in the 5th mission of the game. It may be incredibly slow, but them aliens will be raring to go, cause they're gonna die. This thing will nearly one-tap anything foolish enough to get caught in the crosshair. And it only takes a few shots to wipe out any vehicles and has the highest number of NPCs that can ride alongside you in the game. So as soon as you see one on the map, you better instill the sting of the Scorpion in those Covenant fools. Speaking of the Covenant, now we have the Covenant vehicles. The first one I'll go over is the Banshee, which is used in the mission Truth and Reconciliation. This is your only flyer in the game, and it can take a bit to figure out how to fly this darn thing too. It has a regular semi-auto rifle and a rocket launcher for those tougher tanks. But since the jet is always moving, it can be easy to miss your shots and fly straight into a foe and get blown up, since the Banshee doesn't have that much health to begin with. Though it is possible to grab one in the 5th mission, allowing you to skip the last part of that mission too. And lastly, we have the Ghost, which is the Covenant's main way of getting around. This vehicle is the fastest in the whole game, and features a semi-auto as well. But what you'll really want to use this thing for is to make those aliens into ghosts by running them over. Heh, get it? Since hitting an opponent with this thing is an insta-kill. It doesn't matter if you're friend or foe, Master Chief SquarePants is gonna run you over. Combat Evolved features a ton of enemies that you'll need to shoot your way past in the 10 missions throughout the game. The first mission, the Pillar of Autumn, introduces the player to the Covenant soldiers, such as the Elites and the Grunts. The Grunts are some of the most well-known foes in video game history. They're short, goofy little stinkers, and will run for the hills once their commanding elites fall in battle. But boy howdy is it hilarious to watch them flail their arms about, especially when they get stuck with the sticky grenades. Classic. Though the later levels will introduce Grunts with fuel rods, which is the rocket launcher that will explode after said Grunt dies. So yeah, don't grab those. The Elites are the most common enemies in the game. 1 is tough enough, but 2 to 3 Elites will give you a run for your money, since they have shields that will need to be destroyed before taking one out. The blue elites are the most common to run into, while red elites are slightly rarer and take a bit to gun down too. On top of that, in Mission 3, they introduced the gold elites who are invisible and wielding energy swords, which will quickly one-tap you if you're not careful. And since there's quite a few of these guys, it's best to use the active camo behind these blocks to take them out. So as soon as you see one running towards you, get rid of them ASAP. While they be wondering, why are you running? Anyhoodle, jackals are known for their brightly colored shields, which will deflect regular bullets when shot at. Though they can be stunned by hitting their hands, it's best to use the plasma weapons as I said earlier. And you better watch out for the multiple banshees, ghosts, and dropships that will spawn in more enemies too. Though you can destroy most of these vehicles, the dropships are indestructible, so don't bother wasting ammo on them. And finally, on the Covenant side, we have the Hunters, who have strong armor, giant shields, and a fuel rod that'll mess you up if you're not careful. So the only way to damage these guys is to shoot them in their orange spots, which doesn't take too many bullets honestly. A well-placed handgun shot can knock them down in a heartbeat. What does take too many bullets are the most threatening foes in the game, that being John Carpenter's The Flood. In Mission 6, the player is introduced to these abominations out of a horror game, and you'll need to fight them off to survive. The Flood's most common form are the infected forms, which will always try to swarm you, but your shield will protect you from damage, causing them to explode upon contact. Aside from that, they're not very threatening in this stage, until you start running into the combat and carrier forms, which will run up at you and try to smack you till you're dead, or blow you up. Combat forms can carry guns, and you better watch out for those shotgun and rocket floods, because they will decimate you faster than you can say self-subverting. While the carrier forms will run at you, go right down to your thighs, and then you blow up, dispersing more tiny floods along the way. And since explosions do indeed hurt, it's best to use grenades or the assault rifle from mid-range to take them out. But you should always have a shotgun of your own on hand to deal with and dispatch them in a heartbeat. And lastly, we have the Sentinels to worry about near the end of the game, who can easily be dispatched with a well-charged plasma pistol, but they will always prioritize the Flood if someone around, so use that to your advantage. Speaking of Floods and Sentinels, one of the most infamous levels has to be the Library, a long level that constantly bombards you with lots and lots of Flood. Sure, there's the occasional Sentinel sentries to help you out, but they're not worth relying on at all, since they tend to miss their shots and get dispatched pretty easily. Plus, it's easy to get lost since every corridor looks the darn same, especially in the original, where everything is darker and hard to see. And you have to wait for this floating ball of dirt and guilty sparks to open the doors to move on to boot. Also, in the final level, you have to take out 4 reactors to blow up the ship and win the day, but it's best to use weapons like grenades and rocket launchers to blow them up. But you can find an armory with plenty of weapons and ammo nearby, and then all you have to do is beat the clock and race to the end on the Warthog, which is all fine and dandy, until you have to bob and weave around the walls to make it in time. Plus, the driving in this game is super jank. It's very easy to get knocked over and flip the car back up to get going again. Also, there's tons of obstacles in the way, which makes this part even more difficult. Then you have to run past the Flood and watch the cutscene to beat the game. Moving on. But what good Halo wouldn't have a multiplayer mode, eh? Combat Evolved was the first of these games to feature a multiplayer mode, and it is certainly fascinating to see how bare bones it was in this one. The original Xbox port of Halo 1 did not feature online multiplayer, so if you wanted to play some rounds, you had to bring over some friends and set up a LAN party. A foreign concept to you youngins, I know, but thanks to the MCC port, you can now play all the modes from the original online. Combat Evolved comes with 5 game modes: Slayer, Oddball, Capture the Flag, King of the Hill, and Race. Though the most popular mode in the game currently is Slayer, where it's every man for himself to get enough kills to win the game. And every player will start with an assault rifle, but can pick up weapons and power-ups to get more kills. That being said, Halo 1 isn't exactly well known for its multiplayer. That didn't start until Halo 2, so you'll have to find a group of friends or get lucky enough to find a game online, since most people aren't playing this one nowadays. Okay, so let's go over some tips and fun facts about the game, shall we? The original Halo featured a PC port, which is certainly a PC port from 2001, but the biggest changes included 2 new weapons found only in the multiplayer: the Flamethrower and the Fuel Rod, which has become a staple of the Halo series starting with the second game. But the PC port of MCC brought these weapons back, which is very nice. Thank you guys. Halo 1 also features split screen and online co-op, where you and a friend can both play Master Chief and have a blast killing aliens guilt-free. That being said, friendly fire is a thing in these games, so you better watch your throws and shots because you might just kill your friend by accident. During the first mission, if you return to Captain Keyes and unalive him, which makes you realize he'd lied about the gun being loaded, Cortana will have the entire crew turn on you and gun you down for mutiny. Oh, and these Marines are indestructible, so you're donezo. Another cool Easter egg can be found later in the first level. After making it to the second floor of the starting area and head around this room, you can find a report on about a second Spartan named Linda. Though this is only in the Anniversary Edition, Spartan Linda is a character that has been expanded on in novels and even was featured in Halo 5. But we don't talk about Halo 5, do we? While we're talking about the Anniversary Edition, there are also a handful of secret panels you can interact with and view new cutscenes that add some backstory and context to later scenes. You'll also come across several allied Marines who will fight for their lives against the Covenant. And unless you get in there and do it yourself, they will most assuredly die before you can say Mako is bald. Though most missions can still be completed regardless if the Marines survive or not. Unless you're playing the third mission, in which you have to escort Captain Keyes to the end of the level. And if he dies, it's back to last checkpoint. Also, there are new skull items you can find throughout the maps of the Anniversary Edition, and you can select these in the MCC version to change the difficulty however you want. Hence the term Lasso Legendary All Skulls On. Speaking of which, there are 4 difficulty modes to select from: Easy, Normal, Heroic, and Legendary. And if you manage to beat the game on the hardest difficulty, you'll get an extra cutscene of Sergeant Johnson fighting an elite before they embrace arms wide open. By the way, depending upon what difficulty you're playing on, in the opening cutscene, Sergeant Johnson will give a different speech for each one. So hopefully this video has given you a good idea as to what this game is and how it plays. If you wish to purchase this game, it is now available via the Master Chief Collection from 2014, which has since been ported to every new Xbox console known to man, and was later ported to PC via Steam as well. Though the MCC port was rough at the start, it has since been fine-tuned and updated to make a better game experience. Halo Combat Evolved is a great game that has stood the test of time with its engaging campaign and satisfying weapons. It's a nice, fun, and straightforward space shooter, which makes it all the better when playing the infamous sequel to see where they go from here. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and hope you all have a blessed day. Take care.